We began the series trying to answer the question, can being be knowable? In our previous session, that question took on three iterations. The first one was, can being be knowable? That had an epistemological slant to it, so it focused on the knowing. In the second, it took on the question, is being knowable? Which had an ontological slant to it, focused on the nature of the object known. And then finally, we asked the question, being knowable? Which was sort of the last iteration, and it sort of tried to emphasize the unity of being and knowing. This week, we meant to talk about thisness, whatever that is. And Dan and I had convened for the past couple hours. I think it's been about 3 hours now. And we have been talking about thisness. Unfortunately, the recording has not happened. The recording has only been. And in a true imitative fashion, it turns out that what we spoke about thisness, is not. But by recording this, it turns out to have been. And so the result that emerges is that all along, thisness is the culmination of that failure to record and the recording that is happening right now. The relevance for this of Hegel's project is that when we were discussing sense certainty, we found out that there was a thisness. But whenever we tried to talk about the this, the being, the pure being that is, when we pointed at it, when we tried to get it into language, it wouldn't play nice. It would stop being what it was. It would not be that which it was. And so we found out that the true thisness in sense certainty was not this pure being by itself, but the culmination that was the result of the negating of the negation of thisnesses. That's it.
Okay. A friend reached out and contacted us, and they didn't say please stop being less esoteric, but they said it was, and they are studying.
A PhD in philosophy.
They studied with us, and they're doing their PhD now. So we should appropriately chastise ourselves. But it's this tension that we've been playing with in terms of recording the activity. Then we're saying we want to point to the activity mostly, but then we also need to think about purpose and application to whoever might hear and watch. So we in this tension. So it felt we might be acting in bad faith in terms of this performative art piece for this second iteration, but it's for the benefit. So can we make it pedagogical? Let's go through. We thought that we came to the sense of a first intimation of what the dialectical movement in Hegel is. And we got it in the context of sense certainty and now. So I'm going to try and imitate that or say it. And then I'm going to say that that's what we're doing by recording now. And then we're going to... So, now I say now, I point to now. This, okay, now. A second truth can come. So the truth of now is now. It's now. It's now. Then I'm trying to point to it. And when I try to point to it now by speaking about it, I have to speak about it as it has been, or as something that has been. The truth is that now was. The now that I pointed to was. So here's the second movement. And it's the inclusion of a negative something, the has been. So the thing that's included is a thing that isn't. It is not. The truth of it is the now that was pointed to. So apart from directly pointing and saying now, when I try to say what that was that has now passed, I include something of a negative nature. So that's this inclusion of this language negation. So I by trying to point out to it by saying it has been, I negate the now that was. Then the third movement is negating the negation. because I reflect on it and I think, okay, the has been, what is it? It is not. It is not. It is not. And then there's the back to the now. Oh my. So there's something, the idea is that the truth about now is revealed in this process. So in the first iteration, the pointing, the now, where the truth is immediate to the now, the immediacy of sense certainty. Then there's the pointing that there was a now that was immediate, but now the truth has become something negative. So it's negated the now that was immediate, and the thing that is now immediate has an otherness to it. Then I reflect on that otherness, and I recognize that what it is it is not. And then I come back to the now, the third movement. So what gets revealed about the nature of now, which is the truth or the universality of now, is its universality or pluralism. That now is always in a way next to. So if this has been a useful endeavor at all in terms of this performative piece, we had a conversation that was not recorded. We're now telling you that there has been a conversation. It has been. The conversation has been. And now thinking about how poorly, at least myself, have reflected what has been, and that it is not. We come back to the beginning. We come back to the three, we come back to the third, or into the third movement, negating the negation, and saying, this recording now, what never happened? What? No.
No, the result of recording what was not has now come to be and revealed the truth as the culmination of the recording process. So the conversation was and is no longer, but it reveals the truth that it had to be there all along for us to make this recording.
If we didn't record it, then it wouldn't. We wouldn't have come to. Yeah, help me there. If we didn't switch on record in the second movement, how does that reveal something about the first? Because it negates it.
And then it was never preserved as not being. If we had the conversation and then we never recorded it, then there would be nothing to trace it. It would be stuck in the first phase of its movement. It would just have happened, but there would be nothing to point to. Whereas now, it was, but it appeared not to be because it was never recorded. But by recording the talking about it, it turns out it must have been all along for the recording to take place.
Okay. So this recording has been the pointing to.
Non-being. Yeah.
The recording has been the pointing to the conversation that was.
Yeah.
And in that pointing, we realize that the pointing isn't. We're speaking about something that isn't here. We're making present an absence, and my parents have just walked in, so this might be a good place to go and say that now
we'll have better content next week.